Hello.
Hello, welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 189. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
And I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. And it is January 12th, 2014. And it's really kind of cold in my basement. It's back up to
Really?
like 40 or 50 outside, which is nice because it's been single digits most of the week.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of
It was a
cold.
cold week at the start of the week and then it warmed up here.
Yeah, the polar vortex. Um, which Michael was
Random.
thrilled about hearing 50 times.
Want to hear something really hilarious? I'm going to butcher this, but Franklin Habit on Facebook the other day, I got on real fast to check someone had sent me a PM on Facebook, and he said that if he is calling for his drag queen name like Whole R Vortex, he's like, I'm not going to be a drag queen, but I'm calling that name because it's awesome. So I thought that was funny. I love Franklin Habit.
He's funny.
He's a great knitter too. All right, so let's get this show on the road. This is the Knit Girls, and I have two things on the needles. I have the socks that I'm working on,
This
which
is
are
elephant
out
something?
of Vesper.
No, that was the other one. The Becky's were the elephant
Yeah.
somethings.
The elephant party ones went to Becky. Vesper in the gemstone colorway, and my good friend Seashore Sharon actually gave me this yarn. It is being knit on size 1, 2.25 needles, and it's gotten very little progress because I really have not had time to knit this week, but it's getting there.
I think that'll be
Sweet.
obvious from both of us. Neither one of us has knit a ton this week.
So there's the white stripe that goes into blue, then a teal, then a pink. And it just repeats that 4-stripe sequence. So that's the first thing on
So
my needles.
before you put that down, we have both had issues before with different dyers. It's not necessarily a problem with one dyer where if there's a white stripe in there, you worry about color bleeding.
Yeah, and I'm just assuming that teal is going to do that.
So will you wash it when you block, or when you soak it, will you soak it with a color catcher or anything special?
I am probably not going to do that.
You're just going to
Just
live with
because
whatever.
I'm lazy. I hand wash all my socks, and I hand wash them by themselves. But I do wash them in soak wash, which is a non-rinse solution. But I've heard from a couple dyers that soak wash actually causes colors to bleed, which I don't know if that's
I've
true or
heard
not.
that, but I don't understand how that would work. So maybe, I know we have indies that watch the show, so
Yeah,
if any of you guys
definitely.
have any input on that, I'd love to hear about it in the thread for this episode.
But I also have the Volmeisel Wool Wash that I got from the Loopy U.
Per wool?
Yes, in like, well, I don't know. It's just in this little thing that says Volmeisel Wool Wash. Because it was part of a kit.
Oh, okay.
So I have 2 of those because I bought 2 kits because Mom wanted the kit too, and I just kept the wool wash.
It was never part of her kit.
So she didn't want it. She throws all her socks in the washer. So I might try using that instead. But I'm guessing that these blues are gonna bleed, and if the blues bleed into the white and the white becomes more lighter blue, so be it.
Well, I mean,
It'll be okay.
if it was going to bleed, it's going to bleed every time. Like, I guess my question is, if you take care to wash it the first time, but every time after that you kind of wash them as a group with other socks.
But I don't wash my socks with other socks.
So do you...
My socks get washed individually.
So do you draw a new, like, bath for every sock? Like, how
Yes,
does your
I do.
sock process work?
So they're dirty and they get thrown on the floor in the bathroom.
As all socks do.
They do. And I have the little soak bin that we got for the review. And so I set that in my my bathtub and I run a warm bath for my pair of socks, and I put it in there with soap wash and I swish it around a little bit. And then I have that octopus hanger thing from IKEA. And so then I wring it out after like an hour, or if I forget overnight. and I bring it out and I hang it on there. And it's actually, I think, like, with the soak and the bleeding, as long as you catch it within 30 minutes or an hour, it's not a big deal, but I walk away and do other things. Um, and so I come back, I wring it out, I hang it to dry, and then I dump that water out. Then I draw a new bath for the next pair.
So what if you
But
have
usually,
like 30 pair waiting to be washed?
oh, I don't usually have 30 pairs because I do it every night.
Oh.
Or like on the weekend, if I do accumulate a bunch, then I just, I'm home over the weekend usually. I just do it then. Like I had 5 or 6 from when I was traveling,
Mm-hmm.
and so they just sit there. It's not like there's a shortage of socks in my drawer.
Yeah, that's true. You're lucky that way.
So it's not a big deal for me. And I typically wear hand knit or smart wool socks every day during the winter. In the summer, I'll wear Toms with no socks. So.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah,
I totally jacked that conversation. Keep going.
No, that's fine. You throw all your socks in the washing machine, don't you?
I usually do. If it's the first time, I'll soak them by themselves with a color catcher just to see if they're going to bleed. And if they do, then I won't put them in the wash. But I've only ever had one pair that seem to continue to bleed.
Oh, I have a ton that continuously bleed. That's why they all get washed
see, I only
separately.
have one pair that's like that, and they're really deep red. So a red is a hard color to set. So
I have a lot. So a lot of my stripers that have like orange or yellow, they'll turn the water yellow.
Yeah. But after I've soaked them once, then I typically throw them in the washing machine. Usually I'll do them as their own load, but if I don't worry about it because I typically don't knit anything that can't be washed. And sometimes I'll dry them, but most of the time I'll hang them to dry with the little octopus thing from IKEA.
That's a great hanger. So what it is it's an octopus and every single arm has like a set of pins on it.
Yeah, and I'll link it in the show notes, actually. I'll do that now while you're talking about it.
They're still available because I almost added them to my IKEA shopping list for Mom this week.
Yeah, I bought one, I don't know, like 6 months ago? Something like that.
Yeah, you have a red one and I have a bluish gray one.
Yep.
Anyway, my second work in progress, since we got all kinds of off task, is a 50-row shawlette by Susan B. Anderson. That is the finished item from the pattern. It is supposed to turn out 38 by 10 inches deep after blocking. It calls for 250 to 300 yards of a worsted weight. I have no idea how much this is.
So we're just
I
hoping.
pulled this out of the stash earlier. It gets as big as it gets. That's all. I mean, it's from what I've seen, it's a very easily repeated pattern. And it's only 50 rows, and I'm 4 rows in. Ta-da! So I did a garter tab cast on, and have done the first few rows. But I cannot tell you what hand spun this is because I don't remember. I think it might be Spunky Eclectic. But I cannot remember.
It's pretty.
Which is why I started tagging on my hand spun. But, yeah, it's something. And it'll turn out great. It might be Falkland, actually. I don't think... That's why I'm thinking it's Spunky Eclectic. Because it's not, like, a super soft merino or something. And I was in her club for a couple years... Like a year, maybe? Year and a half. Mom and I split a club membership. So... that is what that looks like. It's very, like, rose garden-y.
Yeah.
I can't see me picking this up unless it was in a club. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
I'm
pretty sure it's a club. Yeah, it's going to be awesome, and I'm excited to knit on it. So those are the 2 things that I have on the needles currently.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, I technically only have one thing on the needles, although I brought something else out unintentionally to work on. So, I'm only actively working on one thing, and I just picked it up from when I was working on it last week, so I've only gotten maybe a row done since last week, but it's the Viajante. It will not be done in time for New York. There's no chance of that happening, but that's okay, because it's easy knitting to take.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is the Viajante by Martina Bem, and it's sort of like a poncho shawl thing, and it's being knit in a lace cobweb weight yarn, and which is a hand spun by my friend Lynn. And I'm knitting it on size 5, which is bigger than the pattern calls for, and my yarn is thinner than the pattern calls for, so it's going to be really drapey, which is the goal. That's what I wanted.
So this starts out with like a little garter triangle.
It's actually knit flat in the beginning, and until it's just like, kind of starts like any typical triangular shawl, and that it becomes this V, this garter tab V.
Okay.
And then it's, once you finish the V, you join it in the round.
Okay.
And then you do decreases on one side and increases on the other.
Are you increasing more than you're decreasing?
The pattern calls for you to do it at an equal rate, except a very slow rate. So for every row, you're essentially only adding 1 stitch, because on one row you add stitches and decrease, and on the other row you add stitches and don't decrease. But I changed that because I'm not as narrow as Martina is. I'm much wider, so I changed it so I'm doing 4 rows of increases and only 1 row of decreases. So it'll, instead of taking a long time to come out, it'll open more quickly.
Okay. And if I just had a crazy face there was like 4 pickup trucks rounding in my cul-de-sac, just like doing crazy things. So I'm like, what is going on?
And I was thinking this week about doing this again, but doing it in a heavier weight. And then I realized that's exactly what Wendy Johnson has done. She's done like 2 or 3 not Viajantes, which are knit in like sport weights. And so they're much faster, but they're essentially a similar pattern.
Yeah, similar look to them.
Yeah, so I now need to knit a heavier one. Not until I finish this one, though. And then as I was looking for the tulips and vegetables, I was doing a mitt, but I'm going to switch it to a sock. As I was looking for that, because I cannot find that anywhere. It's driving.
Is it not like in your general area where you are right now?
No.
Is it upstairs by the couch where you knit all the time?
I don't. I only knit when there's people here. All the rest of the time I knit in my bedroom. It might be by the couch. I don't know. It's a good place. I'll look. But I couldn't find it, and so I was digging through all my project bags down here, and I found one I totally forgot about. And it's this. And I was knitting this to do a true afterthought tutorial, and I had to ask Laura what the yarn was.
That's right. I had forgotten about that part.
And it's it's Twisted Limon.
It's Twisted Limon.
And I did do a true afterthought, so I actually cut the yarn, but I didn't record it because I'm a genius. And
you'll have a second one to do that on.
I also didn't write down what needle size I was using, so I went back and watched the first little bit of the episode that I was knitting this on, because you can search on our site, and so I searched for Twisted Limon and I found the episode, but I didn't say what the colorway was. I didn't say what needle size I was using, and basically I just went like this, and then it was on to Laura. So
as it should be.
I've got the rest of this ball that I need to.
I think that's the Cheshire Cat colorway.
It might be. I don't remember because I didn't write it down or talk about it. But
I don't know. Or no, I think it was berry something.
I think it is berry something. That sounds right. So if anybody remembers, it was from March of 2011. So we hadn't even completed an entire year.
They wouldn't remember because it wasn't even like mentioned. So.
Well, that's true. But so I'm going to cast the second one on, and I'm just going to assume I was using size 1 needles. I don't know because I didn't say, but I'll knit a couple rounds and see see if it's the same.
Plus, like, even if you weren't knitting size 1 needles, your gauge has probably changed so much since then.
I actually need to try them on because they look kind of narrow, and I have wide feet, so we'll see. So this is going to get worked on this week, and that's living in a Rose Knits bag.
Oh, I have that bag too.
Yeah, I think that they were sent to us for review.
I think they were a Wool Girls Club.
Oh, you might be right. I think you're right. So anyway, that's my other sort of work in progress. I was going to cast it on when I sat down here to record, but I don't have any of those needles right here, and I'd have to go back upstairs, and that's just not happening. But I do
Okay.
have an FO.
Go for
So
it.
I'll show you. And I was using my little bag Sharon made me.
Aw, that's a sweet bag.
And I was knitting the socks that rock 2 at a time. And multiple people told me that I was having the issues with the tangling because I was using one ball of yarn. And as you pull from the outside, it gets twisted around. Like, you think, duh. But then you think, well, but why?
I have issues with tangling when I use 2 different balls of yarn in individual Ziploc containers.
Well, I split it, so I pulled it from the outside and the inside at the same time. This was a long process. But
did Kobe help? Because that seems like an awesome goal for Kobe.
So I wound it off onto a Nasta pin.
Oh, I love Nasta pin balls.
So I have little balls. These are what's left.
Do.
I do have little balls.
They're little blue balls, actually.
So these are my socks. I finished them this morning because I wanted to have something to show.
Yay!
So these are the Great Northwest is the colorway. They're socks that rock lightweight. And I was wrong. I do have a pair of socks that rock. What Karen knit me for her wedding as a gift are socks that rock.
Aww,
I didn't even know that.
There you go.
But she told me because apparently I forget things. But I used the Fish Lips Kiss Heel again. Really like that.
Cute.
And
I like how they striped.
I did have a knot in one of them. Okay, so you can see how the stripes are consistent here. Well, flashing, I guess. Whatever is consistent here. I had a knot in this one, so the stripes kind of doubled up, but it didn't bother me. And the other side is pretty even, so if they're gonna be in my feet and my shoes, so I don't care.
Yeah,
they're nice and sturdy feeling, and I like that. So they haven't been blocked. They look a little bit wonky, as socks tend to do. But they are done. They were knit on a size 1 Diacraft heavy metal needle, 2.25 millimeter, and they took less than a skein of the Great Northwest. I don't know. I was a little bit worried because it was under 400 yards. It's like 390 or something.
It is.
And so I didn't know if I'd get a pair of socks out of it, but I did, with plenty left over. So.
Good.
And that's the extent of my knitting for the week.
Those socks are quite time-consuming.
They are. So, doing 2 at a time, especially, because I had just turned the heel last week, but I've been kind of sitting on my butt all weekend, and I got some knitting done. And before I forget, this
some spinning done too.
This is Age of Brass and Steam.
Yeah.
It was hand spun by Amy of Knitting in Circles.
Froggy Monkey.
And hand knit by Darren, her husband. So it is keeping me nice and toasty warm.
Very cute.
So, all right, on to you for finished.
I have one finished object. It is the Walking in Memphis hat that I'm knitting for one of my friends. That I knit for one of my friends. It looks like this. This is the 3 repeat version. Did I do 3 or did I do 2? Yeah, I did 3. So it's done. It starts with the I-cord at the bottom, and if you're concerned about sizing of the hat, this is a hat because you are knitting I-cord and then picking up from the side. Your row gauge is fairly important, and also the fiber content you use is fairly important. So like cotton's not going to have a lot of stretch to it like wool would.
Right.
So that changes it up. But what you can do is you can knit your I-cord to like the smallest size and go like this. And if it fits around your head, that would be good. If it doesn't, then you knit some more. It's like repeats of 6, I think, or 4. I think it's 6. Yeah, it's 6. So you just knit more and then you try it again. So that's an easy way to see if you're going to have enough give to make it fit around your head. That's pretty cool. You can do it with this one that you really can't do with a lot of other hat designs. And
it's hand spun, right?
It is. It is Old Appliances, which is a Highland Handmaids colorway. I think it was on Polworth. I spun it 2-ply, very low twist, so it's nice and snuggly and warm.
Yeah.
And it will be going to her tomorrow. So
that's cool.
Yay! And both my earbuds fell out. Awesome.
Oh. You're such a ray of sunshine. I love your face.
I moved like one, two, three, four bookshelves and a cedar chest and a big old TV and another chest and the whole stash today.
All of it?
Mhm.
Does it all fit in the room that you're putting it in?
I don't know because the wallpaper is not down yet.
And you're not allowed to put anything in there until Mama Linneman has done her thing.
Painted. Yep.
I love that it's your house, but you can't put anything in the rooms.
It's actually in the three bookcases that are going. Well, it's going to be three of the larger expedite shelving units. Mm-hmm. The what are they? 2x4s are going in there. So we'll see. And then two of the smaller ones are going in the where a TV will eventually go in the hearth room. So anyway, you have some. Do you want me to do spinning so you don't have to flip as much?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. I spun. So last time I showed you the first bobbin, and this is Into the World's timey-wimey, swoobly, kloobly.
It's a wibbly wobbly, timey wimey something. Yeah. I like Doctor Who, but I don't like Doctor Who. So
it's something like that. So then I finished. Those are off balance, but whatever. I finished the second bobbin on my Acreworks bobbin, which worked out splendiferous, and it's fun to see it. That shot on the side.
Yeah, it is cool to see the layers.
My bobbin has layers like an onion, but not a parfait.
Shrek reference.
Did you get? I was wondering if you got that or not. So this is going to be a 3-ply. So the last third is downstairs on the lunch room. I just started it yesterday for my Spin 365. I spun just a wee bit, like 15 minutes on it, and this is going to be a 3-ply. It's a superwash merino, and eventually I'm hoping it'll become socks. If not, it'll become something else. But I'm hoping for like 200 yards.
So how did you split it? I mean, did you like 3 separate but equal? Did you like lay it out lengthwise and split it like this, or did you split it long ways?
I split it long ways.
Okay.
So that the color repeats would occur over and over and over.
Okay.
So that I'll have smaller pops of color. Because when you split it lengthwise, then you get less color. If I had split it into less long segments of color, if I had split it, like laid it all out and split it like 1 repeat, 2 repeats, 3 repeats, then I would get long stretches of color. Mm-hmm. So I decided not to do that. Other spinning is drying above my shower. That's not helpful. Alrighty, so I also spun some 2 ounces of an alpaca silk blend that I will show y'all next week. I spun it long draw from the folds.
Oh, cool.
So that worked out really well for the alpaca silk because alpaca and silk tend to be a little bit slippery, or if you're from Pittsburgh, slippy. So I spun it from the fold, which I really enjoy doing, and I enjoy using that for long draw. And I've discovered, so when you spin from the fold, you take a piece of fiber, find some fiber. That is not the fiber that I want. Come here, fiber. It's like hooked to other fiber. All my drop spindles are sitting here, hanging out, chilling with one another,
Partying.
And their lack of progress. So you grab fiber, you rip off a small portion, you place it over your finger, and then you fold, and as you spin, it kind of like creates a little funnel,
mm-hmm.
and it makes it nice and lofty. So that is how I spun that alpaca, and it gives me, I feel like it gives me more control when I long draw, and I stick my finger out as I do it. Like, sometimes I bend my knuckles when I get very little left, but I like sticking my finger out.
I don't have a lot of experience spinning long draw from the fold, or spinning from the fold, period.
It's pretty fun.
I need to do more of that.
It's fun. But anyway, so that is it for spinning for me this week.
Okay. I have a little bit of spinning. I wanted to do some more long draw because I've done worsted spinning pretty much since I started spinning. So now that I feel like I've kind of gotten into a groove with long draw, I want to embrace it and make sure it's not a fluke. So I constantly want to long draw more and just make sure that I didn't, that I really actually know how. And there's a wonderful article in the New Ply on how to learn to long draw. And if you ever get a chance to take a class from JC Boggs, definitely do it, because she sort of takes you from inchworming to long drawing in 4 steps. Like, it's a progressive way to get there without sort of biting off this huge new skill. It takes you there sort of organically. So it's a great, if you ever had the chance to take a class from her, definitely do it.
That's her long draw class. She does teach other classes, including our yarn classes as well.
So I spun from the Sheep's Company, and Claire sent this a while back, and I just hadn't gotten to it until now. But it was an ombre kit, and it had 5 different colors of Shetland, and so it started with the white, and then it went to sort of a darker white, almost a light brown, and there's lots of different colors in here that you probably can't see, but they're all different shades of brown.
I think Shetland comes in like 20 natural colors.
Yeah, I think these are all natural colors. It's still a little bit damp, which is why I haven't twisted it yet. But I did split each color in half, and I had way more left on one bobbin than the other, so I broke the yarn as I was plying it and sort of I finagled it and made it work. So I got 318 yards of 5 ounces when I did a long draw, and this is so much thicker, and like it takes up a lot more space than what I would expect 300 yards to take up, because it's so big. It's as big as my head.
Nice and airy and lofty. There we go. Not loofy, but lofty.
It's got a lot of air in it. Long draw allows all that air to stay in the yarn, which actually keeps you warmer. But it's harder to get it really, really consistent. You sort of give up a little bit of control. And now there are people like Amy Carpe Cakem who does long draw, and her singles look like my worsted singles. Like, they're so even and beautiful, and I'm a little bit jealous. But
she does pretty spinning in general.
She does. And this is mine. I did it. I split each color in half. I spun Thursday and Friday night, and now in my bedroom, I have my sidekick, my matchless with the jumbo head on it, a sewing table with a drop-in sewing machine on it, and my Nancy's Knit Knacks ball winder. I think if I add any more crafting stuff to my bedroom, he's going to lose his mind. Well, he'll probably trip and kill himself. I need to get some of it out of there. But it's like, that's been my little nest this winter, because it's been so freaking cold. Anyway, this makes me happy. It's super soft and airy, and I really have been enjoying spinning. I haven't committed like 365 like you have, but I've been trying to spin more. So
this is my 365 right here.
It counts. You're doing it right.
It does. So pretty cool. We have a book to review. And then do we want to do the question first or the book?
I just dropped a lot of stitches of cobweb weight yarn, so I don't care.
Okay. How about we do the question, and I'll read it. So Liz asks, I'd love to hear about some of your pre-podcasting knits and maybe a recap of your favorite epos you've made. What have you worn or used the most? I also love hearing about inspiration. Who do you stalk for inspiration? Is there anyone who always has great taste in patterns that you follow? What TV shows or movies are your favorite to knit to?
There's a lot of questions.
I know. How has podcasting changed your knitting? Obviously, Leslie is less monogamous of a knitter, but has it impacted y'all in other ways? Basically, you guys could read out of a phone book and I'd listen. I hope your technology issues are resolved soon. I can't imagine how frustrating that is. So, pre-podcast knits. I'm trying to think if I grabbed any. I did grab one for sure because I wore it this week. So a lot of my stuff has been moved over to the new house, including a lot of my hand knits went today. But there have been some things that I have been wearing this week, and that's been primarily cows. Like, I have been in love with cows this week because it's been so cold, and I tend to wear v-neck sweaters to work, and so I love having a little cow there as well. So, pre-podcast knit that I wore this week is the chickadee cow. I think
Oh,
this is a pre-podcast
pretty.
knit.
I think you worked on that the first year we recorded. I
Okay.
vaguely
See,
remember that.
there are no pre-podcast cow knits. um, so I'm sure there are somewhere. I need to locate some. But there is this for sure. This is the Chickadee Cow by Kirsten Kapoor, and it's out of Handspun. It's soft and squishy, and this is just an example of what I've been wearing a lot this week has been like little cows like this. And some of them went over to the new house today, but I've been wearing this. I've been wearing my cowl that Ro made me, the one that you wore a couple weeks ago. No, you didn't wear mine, but you wore one that you knit with the lace panels and it slouches down.
Willow cowl.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I wore that on Monday when it was dreadfully cold. I've been wearing mitts a lot, so I wore the mitts that Leslie gave to me. They're actually at my coat, in my coat, which is at school, because I left it there. I don't know why. Because it was nice Friday afternoon, and I was ready to go. But I've been wearing my, I'm trying to remember the name of these mitts quite a bit. Is it As You Like It?
Yeah, because you have a hat that's the same pattern, right?
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah, it's a very similar pattern. Let's see what these are called. This is so terrible. These are my design, and I can't remember what they're called. But they're out of Tempted's Cashmere, girl from Nantucket.
Ah, okay.
They're out of her cashmere blend, and they are soft and squishy, and I love them. I've been wearing my Numa Numa mitts a lot. They're at work. I left like 4 hats and a couple pairs. Like, I go to work, and I'm all bundled up because I go to work at 6:15 in the morning. And so I'm all bundled up, and by the time I get out of work, it's warmer. But those are 2 things that I've been wearing a lot this week. I've also been wearing my Piper's Journey a ton, and I think I wore that on the show last week.
Yeah, I think
like
so.
99% sure. That's also, might be the wrong side. Ha ha ha. This is also out of Tempted Yarns in one of her cashmere blends.
I think it's her Little Lux girl.
I think so too. This is the one that's named after Dresden Files colorway. Stormfront maybe? Something like that. So I've been wearing, I love the crescent shaped shawls because I can kind of like throw them on and just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've been wearing my Hope a ton as well. So this one just thrown on over. So those are some of my favorite FOs for sure. A lot of hats. I've been wearing a ton of hats, and actually my favorite hat to wear is a Noro hat that I knit many, many years ago, and it's just a plain stocking cap, but it's Norris. It's got tons of different colors, so it goes a lot with what I wear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a button on it that says, I am disinclined to acquiesce to your request. So I like wearing that one a lot too. So that's some of my favorite things that I wear all the time. How about you? Do you have anything?
I don't really have any pre-podcasting knits because I was only knitting like 6 months before we started. Because I was like, I know everything there is. Let's talk to other people.
That's not true. I was like twisting your arm.
But I knit the Bee Fields shawl.
Ooh, that's a pretty one too.
I knit a couple pairs of socks, a couple cowls, I think.
You went on that like crazy cookie egg kit.
Yeah, I did. I still have her Titania pattern and yarn because I'm eventually going to knit that. No, I'm not. I need to get rid of it. But
that's a pretty one.
As far as like favorites, I would say one of the most worn things that I have is the Miranda, which I just finished a couple months ago, and it's a sleeveless pullover with a kangaroo pocket. I wear that sucker at least twice a week. I love that pattern, and I'm actually thinking of knitting another one.
Good.
I also wear, there's a pattern, Moody Kerchief, which Laura got
Mhm.
like on a bender and knit like 4 of them within a couple of months a couple
Mhm.
years ago, and one of them was for me, and it was in tart and composition book gray,
It was.
and so I wear that all the time. And a hat that Tosh knit for me, the Ricky hat, where it's all
Yeah.
garter and it's knit flat and then joined, and I wear that sucker all the time. I wear that to bed sometimes. Um,
That's where I wear my sock head hat. It's to bed
yeah,
sometimes.
but I try to rotate things out so things, get used, but I need to find a better way to do that.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Who do you stalk for inspiration? Tin Can Knits. I love their
Yeah, she's good.
clean. Everything they design is just very sort of not quite trendy necessarily.
Mhm.
Like it's something that's not going to be out in a year. Like it's classic, clean lines,
Yeah.
clear instructions. So I like watching Tin Can Knits. Isolde Teague. I really like a lot of what she
Susan B.
designs.
Anderson.
Yes.
I just really like Instagram.
Hmm.
Gives me a lot of inspiration because I'm like, ooh, look at that pretty yarn. Look at what that person's doing.
Yeah, I follow a lot of
I also,
dyers and designers on Instagram.
hmm I also find that the Southern Cross spinning group, it's Southern Cross Fiber. They do a lot of very inspirational spinning, like crazy stuff, which I love.
Yeah,
So does CTA, Completely Twisted and Arbitrary. They do a ton of very cool stuff. The House Cup is very inspiring for me. The Harry Potter House Cup, to see what people are knitting and doing there is very cool. Especially they do the best of the best. They give like additional prizes for the best of the best. So, and they have voting on that. That's a very inspirational thread when that goes up as well. Trying to think who else. Wendy Johnson always has wonderful projects.
yes. I follow her on
Um,
Instagram just for the cute Loki pictures.
yep. There are some cute ones there. I'm trying to think who else. Amy is like watching Amy and Jess and Lynn spin because they spin a lot more than I do. Is very cool. I like seeing their pictures, especially Show Me Your Nets, Lynn Zim,
Yeah, she's
and
working on her third hand spun sweater.
who, Jess?
Jess!
Yeah, I know.
She's like my
They're all
spinning
doing less is
hero. Like, I
more.
want to be her when I grow up.
Lynn and Jess are both spinning for the Less is More sweater cal that's
Hmm.
going on in this Monkey Eclectic group. So that's pretty cool as well. What TV shows or movies are your favorite to knit to?
I typically, so I don't watch anything real time. I don't even have cable or satellite or any of that to watch anything real time. So if it's not on Netflix or Amazon Prime, or if I haven't downloaded it from the internet, then I haven't seen it. We do we do have high speed internet. We have to for work. So I can access some things through my Comcast account. I can watch a few shows that way, but mostly I watch things like back to back to back to back to back. So I'll go through a season of Friends, or I just started season 2 of Gilmore Girls. I've watched. I like a lot of science fiction type stuff, like Star Trek. I've watched The Next Generation probably 4 times through. Um, I've watched Voyager a few times through. I watched DS9 once and I pretended it never happened. Um, I liked Warehouse 13.
Yeah, and Eureka were both very good.
Eureka, yeah. Towards the end of
Firefly.
Eureka, I was ready for it to be over. But
Yeah, I think they were too.
Firefly, yes, I wish it were longer.
I shotgun sports. Like playoff time for me in
Mhm.
football is awesome.
Yeah,
The Olympics
the Olympics.
are
I was going to say, you
awesome.
can't talk to Laura during the Olympics because she
Nope.
is like glued to watching that, every
Um,
facet of
Tour de
it.
France. I love watching the biking.
Never
Like,
watched
Weezy
it.
makes fun of me because I watch weird sports. When Sporting KC was in the playoffs, which is American League Soccer, I still watch soccer. I'll watch soccer every once in a while. So, I'll watch curling. I don't care. I like sports.
I typically don't. I mean, I'll watch the Super Bowl, but that's about it. Let's
So,
see.
how has podcasting changed your knitting?
Um, it's good, and it can be challenging sometimes. It can be to a point. Now there's so many podcasts out there, right? And that's wonderful because not everybody likes every podcast, right? Some people, you know, prefer audio. Some people prefer single person podcasts. Some people prefer
Yep.
two people. You know, you should only listen to or watch things that make you happy. So,
Definitely.
but with all these other people out there, there can sometimes be sort of a keeping up with the Joneses thing going on. Like, I watch maybe 7 or 8 podcasts and listen to a couple, and I'm way behind on most of them. But you know, I have friends who podcast and design, and I feel like I would love to knit their patterns, but I don't have time to do it, right?
Yeah.
So just podcasting takes more time than you would think. So that would be a little topic. So there's the hour and a half we spend recording,
Yep.
and then there's at least, you know, God willing and the creek don't rise, there's 4 to 5 hours of post-production where a lot of it's waiting. You know, I'll wait for the file to be transferred. I wait as I convert it. I wait as I import it. Then I do the editing, and then I wait as it's extracted, and then I wait as it's uploaded, and then, you know, so there's a lot of waiting, but it's a lot of time as well that still has to be put into it. And then Laura and I talk most every day, and usually the podcast comes up, or, you know, things we want to do with it. We've got some stuff coming up this year that we're excited about, but
Yeah.
it's going to take additional time. So it also, you kind of feel like you have to have stuff to show. I do.
There is that. I will agree.
I would have preferred this week. I had a really crappy week. So, and I won't go into details because nobody needs to bring themselves down, right? But I would have much preferred to sort of sit in bed and eat Ben and Jerry's and just watch TV. But I also felt like, I think knitting in general makes me feel bad for sitting around if I'm not knitting. Like, if I'm going to sit on my ass and watch TV, I should at least be doing something productive in knitting. I feel like that, right? Maybe everybody doesn't, but
I get antsy if I'm just sitting there. I don't do well just sitting anymore.
I usually pick up my tablet and play a game or...
Oh, I've been like, I don't know, all the house car drama. I've been like slamming some levels of Candy Crush.
I'm stuck on 147. I've been there for a few days now.
That's a tough one, I think. Is that the one? Never mind. We won't even get it.
You guys don't need to hear about what level of Candy Crush we're on. So do you have any more thoughts about how podcasting has changed your knitting? It's made me less, like, I don't update Ravelry anymore with, like, my projects and stuff. I should. I just don't. Like, I don't have time.
Sandy for House Cup. So there's only so much time that you can spend on social media and Ravelry and answering PMs and...
For something that you're not getting paid for, right?
Well, and I don't mind answering PMs and spending time on Ravelry because I love being on Ravelry. It's very cool, and I'm like 19 PMs behind, so I apologize on that. But that takes up a lot of time too, which is not a bad thing because a lot of times I do it like on my lunch break at work or something like that. But there's a lot of, and back to the original question was how has it changed your knitting? For me, I feel like it's made me more of a process knitter than a project knitter because you do need to have some kind of progress on something. So if I can show that I did 2 stripes on a sock, that's progress. But to do an intricate pattern takes more time.
I would agree on that. And I think that that's probably kind of obvious. That's actually a really good point. Like, if I think about it, when we started podcasting, I was very like cookie tough lace, lots of color work, and like that takes time. And so like as other things sort of demand time, like answering messages, or which are fine, right? I mean, like I'm happy to do that for the most part.
Oh, it's fun.
But there are days
I
where
love
I'm like,
meeting
I just
people.
don't have time. But like it definitely, that creeps up. That's a really good point. Like the level of complexity overall for me, I have gone down because it's a lot easier to just show the progress, right? To just show, I knit an inch on this and it's just stockinette, but like I could do it without thinking about it. That's a really good point. You should write a book about that. Because you have so much time.
So it's definitely the more complicated stuff, and that part of it's the designing too for me has kind of gotten a little bit shoved to the wayside. Like I still have notebooks full of patterns that I'm going to design someday, but just that is a very time consuming process to have test knitters and get feedback and alter stuff and say, oh, that's not working, to play with it takes time too. So that's kind of shoved that a little bit to, like when we first, definitely I can see like I probably had like 20 published patterns when we started, and then I did like 15 that year, and then 12 the next year, and this past year I think I did 6.
Yeah.
So it's definitely kind of slowed that down. So it's just refocusing your energy. I can tell with the house and the car these past weeks, that's been my focus. Real life's been my focus. So as a consequence, definitely the knitting and the podcast has been more on the back burner until last night when I was babysitting MJ, which is a 1-year-old, and she took her nap, and I was like, I am not at my house.
I can't do anything else.
I'm not on the phone. Right. The insurance office is closed. Like, I can't call and nag them. Like, I can sit here and watch soccer and knit for an hour. Yeah. And that's when the majority of that walk, because that Walking in Memphis hat is not a hard pattern. It's on worsted weight, so it goes fairly fast. But just finding that time to sit and get to it. So anyway, I think that was it for that question. We do have a book to review, which is the Geo Mitt Rix.
Yep.
Which is by Maria Yarley, who is Elegant Economy Designs, I believe. Let me make sure I'm saying that. Yep, Elegant Economy Knitwear. I follow her on Instagram. She is also a very inspirational person. I highly recommend following her. She actually gave away a pattern for free, I think, last November, December, and that's kind of how I found her. And then she contacted us asking us to review her Geo Mitt Rix book, which is 4 mitten patterns that just came out.
Yes.
And they're very cool. So, they're the Venn mittens, the chevron mittens, gotcha mittens, and the inversion mittens.
And these are so the book is 54 pages. It's a $10 digital download. Yep. And over half of the pages are informational. So they're about how to do certain things with lots of pictures. And
show you the front cover.
The benefit of the book being digital, one of the benefits, I think, of the book being digital is as you go through a process and you want to see how to do something, right? So the first thing that she talks about is knitting in the round. And she talks about magic looping. And so if you want to see a picture more clearly, you can double tap it and it gets bigger. So that's a bonus that books, hard copy books, you don't have, which I think is really cool. And of course you can zoom in further with your own tablets.
And
swipe.
The table of contents is actually a hot link, so you can touch on one of the table of contents and it will take you to that page. There is a lot of concepts in this book, so a lot of techniques, which is great. It would be a great book for a first-time mitten knitter for sure, because it goes into knitting in the round, knit, stitch, purl, stitch, knit 2 together, a bunch of decreases, a bunch of increases.
It teaches the different English method versus the continental method of knitting, and you really need to know both when you're doing Fair Isle.
Yeah. Very clear. Leslie showed a picture already, but this is it blown up, but very clear photographs. Nicely done. Nice background so that you can, and nice white yarn so you can see the techniques as they're being done. Also on larger size needles, which is great.
Yeah, all the
I
patterns
really
in here, I
appreciate
believe, are
that.
worsted weight. It's got a little section on how to read and follow a chart. So if you're a first-time chart
Yep.
reader, it's got a.
There's a whole section on blocking
Mhm.
and how to block mittens, which is very, very cool.
Actually, it's
Um,
got a section on tacking. So for anybody who hasn't knit Fair Isle before, um, when you're knitting Fair Isle, if you have more than 3 to 5 stitches of one color before you knit the opposite color again, you really need to do what's called tacking, which is essentially just sort of hooking the yarn along so that
yeah.
you don't have a really long float, a really long section of that yarn unknitted in the back, because that can cause gauge issues as well as it can catch on your fingers or what have you. And it's got a really nice, clear, detailed shots of how to do it while working with both the main and the contrasting color.
The first mitten pattern is the gotcha mittens, which I really like. Again, the photographs are wonderful. They're nice and clear. They show the pattern off well. There's some smaller shots of the pattern that you could blow up as well. She also talks about sizing and how to change, because this is sized to one size, a woman's small, how to change gauge in order to change the sizing. And she also goes into fiber content and how that affects different things as well. The second pattern is the chevron mittens. Both those have thumb gussets. The first used universal yarns, and so does this Universal Yarns Deluxe Worsted Superwash.
And that one has a flap, so you can actually pull your fingers out if you need to use your smartphone or what have you. I really like the inversion mittens, and I love how the models have to think of creative ways to show their hands. Makes me giggle. And the inversion mittens have a more sort of abstract Fair Isle design on them.
Yeah. And then the Ven mittens, I think, are my favorite. They have the flap with the chevron mittens and the shaping of the inversion mittens.
So they kind of, each pattern builds on the previous as far as skills. And it's got great, again, great pictures on how to do the thumb gussets, where to join what color of yarn.
Yep, how to do the flap. It had duplicate stitch earlier on, nice, clear, big charts. And there's even a section on how to design your own color work mittens.
Yep.
And things to think about with that.
With a practice chart, so you don't even have to create the chart. You can just print it off and sort of toy around with it and see how you would like it.
So you're getting a lot of information for $10, which essentially comes out to $2.50 a pattern.
Right.
So I would say if you like 2 of these wonderful 4 patterns, this is definitely, or even 1, because you're getting a lot of information and a lot of photo tutorials along with this.
And they're worsted weight, so it's not as intimidating if you have to rip out a row or something goes wrong. You're not sort of giving up as much time as, and most patterns are written in fingering weight. Most Fair Isle patterns for mitts that I've seen tend to be in fingering weight, so I like that these are in worsted, so it's less of a time investment if something happens.
Definitely. So that is Geo Mitt Rix, and thank you, Maria, for sending that our way. She is actually going to give a copy away to one of you.
Cool.
So we will have that contest open on our Ravelry group. It's just going to be like all the rest of our contests. You must be a member of the group to win. 1 entry per person. And we will end this contest next Sunday when we record, Sunday or Monday, whenever Leslie gets
it may
back
be Monday.
in town.
I'm actually off on Monday, so...
Oh, that might work out best. Yeah. So that will probably be when we poll. Just when we record the next episode, we do lock the threads. I'm doing it right now as I talk to y'all for last week's contest. So we do lock the threads when we go to record, which is your signal that it is closed.
And I'm gonna
So the question is, we're gonna have you look at Maria's lovely patterns, because she does have multiple patterns out there, and pick out your favorite. And I'll get that contest open when the show goes up, hopefully tomorrow. We do have 2 contests to pull for.
Yes, let's go ahead and do that.
We have the Green Gables Knits book, which is amazing and super fun. And we had 277 people enter that contest.
Ooh, I cannot put letters there. That will not work. Okay. So it is between 2 and 277, and I'll hit generate number. And it says 235. No, I'm sorry, 232.
No, 232.
I was reading it backwards. I'm sorry. It's 232.
And that is, let's take a look. Flint Knits, who said she wants to knit Diana's hat. The Anne of Green Gables series was a favorite show of mine as a kid, and I've started to read the books. So Flint Knits, if you'll contact me, Laura, I will put you in touch with Joanna, and that will be awesome. And she will both send you a hard copy, but also an online version, an e-version of that awesome book.
Cool.
And I like saying awesome a lot. Next is Bling Your String.
Yeah, the Bag Club.
Yes, which is super cool. I'm super pumped up about that. We had 387 entries. She is keeping, I forgot to mention this next time, like you can join that club until March, like the beginning of March. So that's when it actually starts. So if you do not win and you're interested in one of the clubs, I would definitely go over to Bling Your String and check that out.
Yeah, and her prices are really
very,
reasonable,
very cool.
and she does a lot of personalization.
And RN's very nice.
Alright, so between 2 and 387, and I'll hit generate number. It says
316. I'm gonna guess that's on 14.
High numbers this time.
It was. That's good. Allows those people who got in last minute to win. The procrastinators, which I'm one of, so I'm always rooting in favor of the procrastinators. It is Ellie Yarn. I looked at the club options and was attracted by the art one, but really love the afternoon tea one. That's how I felt about it too. Mainly because I like tea, and afternoon tea makes me think of relaxing, which I like too. I'm very excited by this club idea. It is so generous of RN to offer this prize.
I agree.
P.S. I spell color with a U too. Yay!
There you
Where's
go.
she from?
Double win.
Oh, she's from Ontario. Oh, how fun! So it's going from a Canadian to a Canadian.
That's cool.
How neat. Ellie Yarn, please contact me, Lala on Ravelry, and I will hook you up with RN to get you your prize. That's super cool. I did order that bag that I was talking about last week from her. Like, I thought about it for like 20 minutes after we recorded, and then I was like, I don't need another bag, but I'm totally buying that one.
By.
Yep.
Yeah, I was in a dangerous place on Friday. I was like, because Friday was a super duper crappy day, and I was, sitting at my computer waiting for a query to finish or something, I don't know, and I was like, man, I really like Falkland. Who on Etsy has Falkland? Click, 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 click. I added a bunch of stuff to my cart, but I didn't buy anything.
Oh, you didn't pull the trigger.
I didn't know, because I was like, Leslie, look at your stash. Leslie, it's on Ravelry. Look at it.
That's why my stash will never be on Ravelry. And there will be no pictures posted of it. Because when I got it all together to move today, I took a picture and texted it to Jess, because Jess and Lynn were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm packing."
I didn't get that picture.
Yeah, you didn't.
Jessica, send me the picture.
I'll find it. It's in my phone somewhere. I actually have been texting you from my iPad lately.
Ooh, fancy.
I'm so fancy. Because my phone's downstairs and I'm too lazy to go get it. I got an amazing book. I was looking, because now I have a kitchen and a house and things to cook with. So I got inspired to buy some cookbooks. So actually, I just bought this one, but I am vegetarian, for those of you who don't know, and I was looking at some new, because I have the Moosewood and I have the Vegetarian Times cookbook from a couple years ago. And I have a bunch of vegetarian cookbooks, but I was like, I want to update my thing. And this one really spoke to me. It is the Southern Vegetarian, and it actually does food that you find in the South, like okra. It uses those type of food. This person's actually from Memphis.
Oh, cool.
But like artichoke hearts and succotash over smoked cheddar grits. Grits are super Southern. But I'm super excited to try this out, and I'll give you all a better review when I actually cook some things out of it. But I thought it was really neat that there was a Southern vegetarian cookbook.
Are you gonna totally torture us like Jasmine does from Knitmore? She'll Instagram a picture of this delicious looking dish that she made everything from scratch from like the.
No, I don't have time for all that.
What is the book that she always uses?
American Test Kitchen.
Yes, America's Test Kitchen.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, that looks good. I should get that book.
They have a baking book that I'm totally thinking about getting, because obviously I need baking and sweets. Sweet potato pancakes with peaches and pecans.
I was with you until the pecans.
Ugh, you can do it without pecans.
So that means when I come to visit, you'll have a yummy vegetarian dish cooked for me, right?
I'll knit something, or knit. I'll cook something for you, perhaps. I'll knit you something too if you really want. They have vegetarian gumbo in here too, which makes me happy.
I've never had any gumbo or grits. I know. I'm a freak.
I thought you, I'm surprised you didn't get any when we went to New Orleans.
I'm just not into it, no.
Okay. So I got that book. It is by Justin Fox Burke and Amy Lawrence. I got it on Amazon, so it was less than this, but it retails for $24.99.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool. You had VKN.
No, that's
VKL.
Vogue Knitting Live.
I got it.
So this coming weekend, I will be leaving to go to Vogue Knitting Live. That's in New York City at, I don't know, some really fancy hotel near Times Square.
Cool.
And I'll be there with Aunt Sue's
She will duck and hide from anyone who comes and approaches her.
And Meliavella, and we're gonna be there at the market. The market is smaller than I thought. Like, it's about the size.
But it's got Jill Draper Make Stuff, which is like.
It does have Jill Draper Make Stuff. That's true. But I would say it's comparable or smaller than Stitches South a couple years ago.
I would say it's smaller than Stitches South. Looking at the list, which I did,
yeah.
in case I wanted you to buy me stuff.
I didn't, like, I intended to not look at it and just sort of be surprised, but then I thought, well, I want to see, like, how much time I think I'm going to need, because I wanted, there's a couple other places in the city I'd like to stop by. So I really don't think the market's going to take more than a couple hours, honestly.
Loop's going to be there, who I love.
Who? Oh, Loop, yes.
Loop.
Steph.
I love Steph.
But I would like to also go by Mood, and
that'd be fun.
We're going to try to catch a show on Sunday as well, so we'll see.
Cool.
But it'll be fun, so if you're going to be there, you know, find me at the market and say hi. That'd be awesome. So our recording schedule may be off. We may be delayed by a day next week. But we'll let you know. We'll post it in the mod announcement thread like we always do.
Cool. Speaking of the mod announcement thread, I put a post in there last week. I had a little bit of time to kill while I waited for something, so I went through the show notes, the episodes that had show notes for the past, how long have we been recording? 180.
Almost 4 years.
8 episodes. And I created a tab on the site that says book reviews. It's under the reviews tab, and so when we review a book, we will, or an ebook, we'll put it there. So if you're like, oh, I think the Knit Girls reviewed this book, I wonder what they said about it, and you want to watch real fast, you can see exactly where it was and go directly to that episode as the angle. It's still a work in progress, and I do want to go back and watch the episodes where I did not do show notes to see what books we reviewed, because I know we've reviewed a lot more Cooperative Press books than were listed there.
Yeah.
But we'll go back. It's going to be a work in progress, because I can't watch at work.
And Laura hates watching herself anyway.
Yeah, I do hate watching myself.
So
yeah, it'll be a work in progress,
awesome.
But it'll get there. It'll be fun. I like the idea of it. And I don't know, it's something that I've wanted to do for a while. So I had 30 minutes of downtime one day, and it took like 2 hours, but
I think it's awesome. I love it.
It's fun.
Um,
And I also, some of them didn't have authors listed. I have to go back and add those or hot link them and all that stuff. So it'll get there. The plan is to work on it like 30 minutes
a week
till it gets done.
Yeah, I'm really behind on the episode list too. It'll happen. You can always just like go, there's a search bar. You can always just type in episode and then the number, and it'll take you right there.
Oh, that's cool. Spin the bin. Are you gonna let me talk about my spin the bin this week?
Let's see, what are we timed at? We're over an hour already. So if you can, how about you talk about a few of the things you're gonna spin?
How about I do one a week?
There you go.
Okay. So last week I showed, I don't know because it disappeared. Oh, last week I showed the Mithrandir Grand Brûlée into the world. So that's in my bin. And I'm going to post this. I actually started a stash page on Ravelry for the fiber that's spin.
Oh, just for spin the bin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have 2 puppy dog tails because this is going to be part of my less is more. How about I do my less is more? So
That's
I have 2 things of puppy dog tails. That's totally more than one, and I don't care.
You really don't.
I tricked you. So there's that. I have Skein Yarn Night. That's going to be part of my less is more.
That's pretty.
This is all Superwash Merino, by the way. And I have Pigeon Roost Studios. That's going to be part of my less is more.
So they're all similar in color.
Yeah, that's because it's all in one sweater.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot where they aren't. I mean, I guess it's totally personal opinion. I just didn't realize yours were going to be so close.
Mine are all close. And then the last one is Swoosh Fiber Arts in the Stop Following Me colorway.
Pretty.
So that's my, it takes 4 and I'm doing 5 because I want to do 3/4 length sleeves.
Cool.
So that's the first 5 things in my bin. 6 things in my bin.
When she said she'd show one.
Yes.
I just want to put that out.
I'm a liar. And you can stop me.
I mean, what am I going to do, right?
Continue talking over you. So let's see what else. We did the giveaway, book review. Oh, Team Sasquatch.
Yes. So for
we are not
the crazy drama. So anybody that I only read part of it, but there was some crazy drama, and the old Ravel Linux group, like they're not running it anymore. The old group, right? And they're gonna Casey sort of stepped in, and they're gonna figure out new mods and rules and all that. But Team Sasquatch, which I think was started by Jasmine of the TheKnitGirlls, but a lot
it's for all podcasters.
Yeah, a lot of podcasters just join this one group, so it's all sort of in one place. And because neither Laura nor I have the bandwidth to host a group this year, we're just going to all be sort of part of the Sasquatch group. So that way, if any of you guys want to participate, feel free to join us over in the Sasquatch group. It's going to go by the original Stephanie Pearl McFree's Knitters Olympics rules, which all that information will be in that group. So,
yep. So we're gonna be joining over there. We actually decided to do that around Friday. Was it Friday morning or Thursday morning?
It was Thursday or Friday, because Laura and I we just don't have the time to host one. So we want to make sure that we can participate and give you guys a fun place to participate if you want to. So
and I think I'm gonna try to knit a sweater. I haven't decided. Ooh, you know I should knit. No, I'm gonna knit Glitz on the Ritz with that yarn. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. I have
with the
sort of
Wayfarer yarn. That's what it is.
I kind of have a sort of when knitting attacks for this week. I decided I was going to rip out the owl sweater because I want to knit a long sands cardigan. Cardigans work better for me unless it's short. Anyway, I wanted a cardigan. And I didn't want to waste that Madeline Tosh yarn because A, it was super expensive. It was $150 worth of yarn. And B, it was really pretty, right? So I wanted to wear the yarn. I wanted it to be in a garment that I could wear. And I was like, this is no problem. I'll just tink out the cast off and I'll just, sit with a ball winder. And, well, when you alternated every row.
Oh, you needed 2 ball winders.
And 2 people.
You have 2 ball winders, yeah.
Yeah, so after 3 hours, I have unwound the yoke and the sleeves, and the rest of it I'll work on later. But holy crap, what a mess that became. Like, I'm just right now trying
Yeah.
to wind them into cakes, and then I'll rewind them into skeins, and then I'll soak them so that it's not like curly, kinky anymore.
So what I've done before when that's happened, um, oh, this one. So when I've done yarn doubled before and then ripped it out, I've just put both of them on the same thing, the same ball winder, and wound them together, and then separated them out into two balls later. But that won't work with you because you did every other rep.
It was
You need Mama Linneman to come
it was
over,
a
and she can
huge
operate
mess.
one.
Michael came in and he was like, "Man, what's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Can't you see this? That's what's wrong with me." It was a huge mess, but it's
Aw,
about halfway sort of working now. So that's where like 3 hours of my day went.
that's okay.
But yeah, hopefully I want to cast that on. I haven't cast on anything this year yet. I've just been sort of finishing up things that I already had on the needle. So I want to cast on that long sands cardigan, and I really need to cast on something by Amy Herzog for
Yeah.
SSK knit along. So
Yep. Awesome. Well, that is about it, I think. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
nope, I need to go and prepare dinner for my loving family, and then start the post production for all this super fun stuff. So
Cool.
if we're going to be later than Monday on recording, we'll post about it in the modern announcements threads, but don't expect anything until Monday because I'm be out of town. And
Okay.
we hope you guys have a great week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.